attention now to the bottom of the Premier League. If you take a look at the foot of the table, you notice that the bottom 4 teams, of those, only West Ham have stuck with their manager so far. Sam Allardyce might be fearing the chop, if you read some of the quotes this week, but co-owner David Sullivan has told us at the moment that will not happen. That's not all he had to say in a candid conversation with Ben Smith.
On the front of your house, there's a motto there that says, through work to honour. What is that?
It says, per laborem ad honorem, which is Latin for through work to honour. It just means really in life, if you work very hard, you should get a result. That's just when we won the playoffs. That's the sort of the best, probably the happiest day we've had at West Ham. And I hope, over time, all the length of the bowling alley will be teams at West Ham.
Tell me about the decision to buy the club. Was it a case of having to let your heart rule your head?
Yeah, because it was 100 million of debt. And to be honest with you, I'd done 17 years at Birmingham, and I really fancied a year off because it's very demanding. And then West Ham came up, the club of our dreams, and within 3 months we bought another club, which is not what we wanted to do, but it was now or never.
And knowing what you know now, the debt and relegation, you still have bought it?
Yeah. To own the club you support as a boy is just wonderful. And David Gold, my partner, is exactly the same. We love West Ham, and we want to do everything we can to bring back the good days to the club. This is the cup final programme. When I was 15 or 16, went from Hornchurch, saw West Ham beat Preston, and these are all the programmes for the previous rounds.
A lot of owners now in the Premier League just there to make money. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's very sad we don't see West Ham as a business. I mean, we would like ultimately to break even and it to be a self-sufficient club, and we hand it on to our family.
And you've got owners changing the colour of shirts and even names now. What do you make of that?
Very strange. Very, very strange. It's like us calling West Ham City or West Ham London or something. We are West Ham United. And we play in claret and blue.
This season would have been difficult for you?
This season would be very difficult because we'd not planned for it, we didn't anticipate it, and it's gone far, far worse than we could possibly have imagined. I mean, the hope this season was to have a middle table right from the start, never to be threatened with relegation.
So what's gone wrong?
I think what's gone wrong, predominantly Andy Carroll was injured. We had backup strikers at the club who probably weren't good enough. We didn't sign another backup striker. Would
you have signed him knowing what you know now?
No. No, had we known he'd been out this long, we would not have signed him. But we're not a rich enough club to carry the situation. If you asked me the same question at the end of the season, I hope I'd give you a different answer and say, yes, it was the right decision to sign Andy Carroll. And he is a fantastic player. And on his day, he's unplayable. And we love him, that's why we signed him. And he is desperate to come back. You know, people think he's not, he is sweating blood in training. He's been all over Europe for treatment, and he's begged me to come home. He's rung me up and said, look, it's doing my head in here. I really want to get back as soon as possible. I want to play. I'm 65 in February, Dave's 78. We've only got so many seasons. This year's a write-off. The best, we're salvaging a season. And we've only got so many seasons, you know? And it's sad, really. The best we can do is salvage it now. It's a damage limitation season.
I can see you're concerned about the current situation, though, aren't you?
I'm deeply concerned. At the same time, we're not in a hopeless situation. It's in our hands to get out with the existing squad, and we will do all we can to bring in new players in January. And that's what we're working flat out on now. We have to throw the dice again. Whether they turn out better than you've got, or the same as you've got, or worse than you've got, we've got to at least have a few lottery tickets.
Will Sam Allardyce be the manager then?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter about results?
It does matter about results, but really we review a manager at the end of the season. If you said to me what sort of season Sam's had, I'd say up to now disappointing, but judge him at the end of the season.
But sometimes by your own admission, perhaps you've been too loyal. Is that in your mind?
Not really, no. I just don't. I really believe Sam's the man for the job. If he wasn't our manager, he's exactly the sort of person you'd be bringing in to be the manager. So where do you get somebody better than Sam to do the job that's now necessary? I know that the 3 clubs have changed managers, seem to have had a little kick-off with the change of manager. Whether that continues, only time will tell. As a board, will we support the manager?
Let's talk about Sunderland. It's a massive match at the weekend, isn't it?
Sunderland is a huge game.
Must win?
every game's a must-win game, but it really is a must-win game. Against that, we've got lots of injuries. If we had the full team out, I'd be very, very, very confident.
Let's talk about the future. Are you excited by it?
I'm excited as long as we stay up. If we don't stay up, I'm depressed. You know, we've done all our figures on staying up. We have to stay up. The Olympic Stadium in 2.5 years' time is tremendously challenging. We must be in the Premier League then.
Fascinating interview. We'll gloss over the golden gun, but Andy Carroll was a mistake. Allardyce won't get the sack, and the season is a write-off. Where would you like to start?
Well, I think the first thing with Andy Carroll is you just can't get him on the pitch, which is a massive problem. They've even had to take Carlton Cole back because they let him go at the end of last season. But they don't really have anybody else, so it'd be great to get Andy Carroll back. I still think they need, you know, Andy Carroll +1 to have any chance. And, you know, these guys are businessmen. We already said there as well, he mentioned the fact that 2.5 years they move into the Olympic Stadium. They can't afford to be relegated.
You know, on 606, a lot of fans are phoning up and they're restless. Just the way they're playing.
No, that was just you run the programme.
I watched them at Crystal Palace and they were awful. You know, in the forward areas, you know, really, really poor. It's imperative they buy somebody in January. You know, there's strikers who aren't playing in the first team at the minute that could do a better job than, you know, West Ham are doing at the minute. So it's imperative they buy somebody.
And Nolan's out as well, isn't he?
You do need in these situations where they are now, just fight for their life. The Nobles, the Nolans, the Collinses, the Tompkins, you know, the guys that got a bit of experience, you need them to step up to the plate and say, hold it a minute, take it out of the manager's hand, say, let's deal with it in the change room, let's do it for ourselves. You know, and it's not happening.
But before the start of the season, if you're looking at Downing, Jarvis, Carroll and Nolan, you're thinking that's mid-table stuff. That is mid-table stuff, but it's not materialised that way.
There's about 6 to 8 teams desperate for a striker in January. If you are a good striker and they're available, you know, January, you could probably have a pick of clubs. Not him, no, he's too old. He said good striker.
Sorry.
He said when he said there's a you genuinely thought I can do a job.
I can do a job.
Let me ask you about Sunderland, because they're at the bottom of the table.